Hello, and welcome back to a belated episode of Skep's Unnamed Deck Showcase. Now that the ban list has finally gone into effect, barring a few skill updates to skills like Xyz Galaxy, I can now finally show you some builds of the decks that were good last format and that I fully expect to be playable this format as well. Let's take a look at a rank 4 spam take on the Salamangreat deck to mask the loss of cards like Roar and Lady Debug in its arsenal to make powerful turn 1 inboards despite that fact, presenting chicken salad. So here we are with the deck, and since this is not our first rodeo, let's just hop right into the card by card. We all know what Salamangreat does, and with a couple of exceptions, this is a pretty standard list, focusing more on rank 4 spam, so we'll talk about that as we go over the ratios. First up, we have our one Gazelle, the heart and soul of the deck here. Of course, we all know how this works. When a Salamangreat monster, or if rather a Salamangreat monster is sent to your graveyard from anywhere, except itself, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can Foolish Burial any Salamangreat card. This is very important because if you open a Salamangreat, you can discard it with Signet Mining, add Gazelle, and then activate Gazelle in hand. That is why we are playing one-ofs of all our other Salamangreats, because functionally we want to open any one Salamangreat and Signet Mining to get our full Gazelle combo. And the other cards are just... we have 2 cards for graveyard spam, 1 card for spamming from hand, and a dedicated normal summon and our rank 4 engine, which we'll go over in sequence. We've got 1 mirror. This is the worst Salamangreat, but you can add it off of a set circle on your opponent's turn. Special it to your Sunlight Wolf zone to add back another piece of Salamangreat material and get a blocker in case they try to kill you. Of course, if you're playing against metal foes, you will not want to search this card. Next, we have Falco. Falco is the second worst Salamangreat card, but it's also very strong because if you end on your ideal turn 1 inboard of Sunlight Wolf, Dweller plus Circle, you can activate Circle, and then later in your turn detach Falco with Abyss Dweller. Falco's effect will activate because it's sent to the graveyard, regardless of anywhere it's sent from. You'll trigger it in the graveyard to set it on to set Circle to your field, and then when your turn comes back around, you can activate its other effect to bounce a Salamangreat to your hand and special summon it to make another rank 4 or to use as link material. We've got Jack Jaguar. This is the best graveyard card. It lets us recycle our resources. Jack Jaguar is the reason we only need to play 2 Sunlight Wolf. You'll see in the replays, but you'll make the first Sunlight Wolf, reincarnation summon it, shuffle back the second, and summon Jack to the Sunlight Wolf Link Zone to add Gazelle back to your hand, so you never need to play 3 Sunlight Wolves. Saves your extra deck space for generic link removal options, as well as going first rank 4s. The last Salamangreat we're playing one of is Salamangreat Foxy. Foxy is the normal summon of the deck. If you're going to play 3 of any Salamangreat, it should either be Foxy or the one I will mention next. We're choosing to go hard in on our rank 4 options because Dweller and Roach are so strong right now against different parts of the metagame. So I've opted to put Foxy to 1, although if you want to go down on Staples, you can play 3 Foxy, but Staples are really the best card in any deck, so I wouldn't really recommend you do that. Foxy is our normal summon. When this card's normal summon, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can add 1 excavated Salamangreat card to your hand. Also, shuffle the rest back into the deck. If this card is in your graveyard and a face-up spell trap is on the field, including the field spell, you can discard 1 Salamangreat card, special summon this card, then you can destroy 1 face-up spell trap card on the field. You can only use 1 Salamangreat Foxy effect per turn, and only once that turn. This is our removal spell of choice for cards that sit face up in the back row, like World Legacy Secrets. Very strong card, but you don't need to play it more than 1 because if we have a pretty likely chance of opening Mining and Circle, so you can Mining for Foxy or Circle for Foxy and Mining for Gazelle, depending on the hand you open. Sometimes you don't even need to normal summon this. You just want it for a removal spell. Its discard effect lets you get Jack Jaguar and Falco out of your hand if you draw them, so you don't need to run more than 1 to send to the graveyard. I wouldn't play more than 1 of any Salamangreat, except maybe 2 Jack Jaguar, but that's really only like a TCG thing. With 20 cards in your deck, space is pretty tight, and I wouldn't necessarily want to go up on these. But again, Foxy is such a good card that you could conceivably play 3 of it, especially if you do cut Staples. You basically only have 3 non-Salamangreat, well, I guess 6 because Signet Mining. You have, 14 out of 20 cards that you can excavate be targets for Foxy, so that seems pretty good if you want to go up on that. The last Salamangreat we are playing 3 of, is Salamangreat Foul. This is from a version of the deck piloted by Doug Zeef during TOS format that he called Chicken Salad. I'm a really big fan of that particular innovation. The back row stunning effect doesn't always come up, but it can come up. More importantly, this gives you so much more flexibility with making rank 4s, since the deck cannot send Salamangreat Roar to the graveyard. They have no in-archetype interruption on their opponent's turn for when they go first, unless they hard draw their back row or hand traps. So I want to hedge my deck's ability to make rank 4 interactions, such as Dweller for Phantom Knights, Trains even, I guess, and the Mirror Match, Salamangreat Mirror Match, Dweller is very helpful in, as well as Roach for Mech Knight, Rose Dragons, and any just sort of generic synchro pile. This is very good against. And your deck's consistency is upped more by playing 3 copies of Foul than 3 copies of Foxy. But if you're not worried about making rank 4s, you can, again, swap the ratios and play 3 Foxy. I think that rank 4s are the best thing this deck can be doing currently. So that's why I've chosen to focus on them with those monsters. We've got 2 DD Crow because this format is very graveyard reliant. I think Crow's fine. You can play any 2 staples you want: 2 Book of Moon, 2 Needle Ceiling, 2 Dark Hole, even 2 even MSTs if you're really worried about back row. Although this deck does have in-archetype back row removal, so I'm not super worried about playing any. That is it for the monster lineup. Let's talk about the spells and traps, beginning, of course, with our Garnet Salamangreat Sanctuary. I'm almost tempted to go up to 22 and up the Gazelles just because I really don't want to draw this card. But without access to Lady Debug anymore, I don't think going above 20 is super advisable, even though you really, really do not want to draw this card. It's necessary to play, of course. You search it off of your Salamangreat Balinks to reincarnate summon. This is how you access your turn 1 inboard of Sunlight Wolf, Dweller, or Roach, and Gazelle in hand with ideally a set circle, although sometimes you don't have the circle, but you do hard draw something like a Warning Point, which is our only trap, the best unlimited trap card, I think, in the game currently. And to round out our deck, we play additional 6 copies of every Salamangreat monster. We got Circle to instant speed, search a card. If we search Mirror, we can special summon it. That's what we're doing if we activate this on our opponent's turn to add more resources to our hand off of Sunlight Wolf. We got Signet Mining to add Gazelle and then Special Gazelle in very good hands. In very mid hands, you're probably just discarding the second Signet Mining off of the first Signet Mining, because it is a hard once per turn, but worth playing. That's the 20 cards, very consistent. I don't think losing out access to Debug is really that meaningful. I wasn't playing Debug in the first place, but this is what I'm working with. This is not the Code Talker variant because I have no idea how that one works. Let's take a look at our extra deck. Of course, we got the Salad Tax, 2 Balinks, 2 Wolf. Everyone knows what these do. I don't need to waste time explaining them. 1 Security Dragon to co-link to either Balinks or Sunlight Wolf. If you co-link it to Balinks, you get 2 removal spells because you'll go Security Dragon into Ningirsu. Ningirsu can send the field spell to send another monster your opponent controls for 2 removal spells off of that combo. And then we, of course, have Ningirsu, a prime removal spell, because it doesn't target, meaning it if your opponent wants to protect anything, they're going to have to make a couple of interesting plays around Ningirsu. 1 Roach for the matches that Dweller's dead against, and 1 Dweller for the matchups that Roach is dead against. I'd really like to find space for Giant Hand, just because Giant Hand is more generically applicable. There are matchups in which neither of these monsters do anything, in which case you're basically playing a 6-card extra deck against your opponent's 8, which doesn't feel great, but I mean, that's just the place we're at right now with the 8-card extra. If we got a 9th slot, the 9th card would be a Giant Hand or a Malevolent Sin. This deck doesn't have too much of a problem pushing for lethal with its link options, but having a rank 4 to push for lethal might also be worthwhile. If you had to cut one or the other, I would probably cut Roach. All right, that's the end of the deck profile. We are playing Rise from the Valley of Haze. It'll come up in some matches. I'll talk about it briefly. Basically, all it does is it adds 1 Heatleo to our deck, so we don't need to play it. Then we can, if our life points are below 2,000, select a Salamangreat Link monster you control. It can be anyone. Add 1 monster with the same name to your extra deck, then play Salamangreat Sanctuary to your field from outside your deck. This comes up in a very, very clutch matchup But this is why you don't need to play Heat Leo, because if you play your cards right and you don't summon your first Heat Leo until you have less than 2,000 life points, you get to make one, place the second one in your extra deck, reincarnate, summon it to spin another opponent's back row, and then attack for lethal with that. So you don't need to play any Heat Leos if you play this skill, because you get up to 2. Usually you're only getting 1, but you can get up to 2. Now that is absolutely everything to talk about with this deck. Let's show you some replays. Ladder replay farming this time was a little bit of an ordeal, but we got a couple good games for you here. First one I'm going to showcase is a Yamayugi on their rank up game playing, you wouldn't guess it based on this duel, Buster Blader of all things, although you'll see why I didn't know they were playing Buster Blader until I checked their deck later. We're going to normal summon a Jack Jaguar after searching Gazelle to get our full combo going. We're going to summon Balinks there. Balinks will add Sanctuary. Gazelle will trigger off of sending Jack Jaguar. Summon itself to the field, add a Sanctuary to our hand. On a new chain, Gazelle is going to send Falco. I have some plans for Falco this turn to let us end on even more cards in hand for turn 3. We're going to make a Sunlight Wolf here. Going to activate the Sanctuary, reincarnate summon the Sunlight Wolf. Important to mention, you always want to reincarnate summon your Sunlight Wolf before you use your Jack Jaguar, because by shuffling back the first Jack Jaguar, you will never need 3, because you'll always have an extra an extra Sunlight Wolf in the extra deck. As you'll see here, our Jack Jaguar puts back our first Sunlight Wolf, triggering our second Sunlight Wolf to add back Gazelle and summon Foul from our hand. We're going to activate Sunlight Wolf to put that circle back in our hand. Falco going to activate from the graveyard, putting Foul in our hand for next turn, and now we have 2 Salamangreats plus 2 back row. We're going to make Roach, because based on the mat, I was assuming our Yamayugi player was, if not playing Dark Magicians, playing Mech Knight. Dweller's dead against both matchups, so we go for the one that's most likely to be safe here, and we make a Roach, set 2 cards, and pass. What do you know? I was right. They summon Purple Nightfall. We're going to negate that summon. They're going to summon an Indigo Eclipse. We're going to warning point that. That will prompt the chain of Indigo Eclipse. I'm totally fine with that, because now we can Sunlight Wolf. I go for Foxy here just because I do not want to give them any free columns. They're going to Blue Sky. We're, of course, going to negate that. Hitting the 2 best Mech Knights off the Roach feels good. Let's just mention really quick, our opponent hard opened the basically Limit 1 Blue Sky and the Purple Nightfall. Damn, I wish I was that skilled. They're going to set 2 cards and pass. We're going to draw Cyanide Mining, sending Foxy from our hand to the graveyard, exclusively because we really want to be using Foxy in the graveyard to destroy this card right here, World Legacy Secrets. I do not care about them reviving a monster or moving it. I just want to bait out their effects. Our Gazelle is negated, but we have so much gas already. We're going to make up some room here by making Security Dragon, activate Foxy, pitching Mirror, reviving itself, pop the secrets. That'll destroy the Indigo. We'll put that back in hand with our Security Dragon, and they'll give up. Game 2 here, that classic anime rivalry, Soul Burner versus Revolver. We're, of course, still on Salamangreats, and our opponent is playing that classic Revolver deck. You know I'm talking about Shiranui, folks. Revolver's deck in the Vrains anime. Shiranui here. We're going to be activating Cyanide Mining, sending Jack Jaguar from our hand to the graveyard, adding Gazelle. Gazelle will activate, summoning itself from our hand, sending a Foxy for later turns. We're going to make Balinks. Balinks is going to activate to search us Sanctuary. We have not normal summoned yet this turn, which is why we still have Falco in our hand. We're going to discard Foul for Foxy. No real reason to, other than we want Falco in our graveyard before we normal summon. This is going to be showcasing a couple of interesting things you can do with this deck. Of course, we're reincarnating Sunlight Wolf here. Jack Jaguaring, the first one back into our deck. Activate Sunlight Wolf, add Gazelle back to our hand. Now we're activating Falco because we did not normal summon. We're going to return Jack to the hand and then normal summon it. And then because I have our opponent on Rockets, even though they're not, we make Dweller. Very funny. Dweller does hit both Rockets and Shiranui. We're going to detach Jack Jaguar, summon Gazelle, activate Sunlight Wolf. Sunlight Wolf will add Foxy to our hand for next turn and send a Circle. They're going to set 3 cards and pass. I'm like, well, that's definitely Rockets. They're playing something like Needle Sealing and a bunch of other back row. They activate Karma Cut and sends a Spectral Sword. That's very funny. Now, we will not be able to reincarnate Sunlight Wolf again, but I don't think we're going to need to. We're going to normal summon Foxy. They're going to warning point. That is totally fine with me. Let's try and see if we can't kill them here. We're going to detach Falco. Falco will put that Foxy back in our hand. And this is lethal on the field, but I worry about that last back row. So we're going to make another Sunlight Wolf. Try and get another monster onto the field here. Make Foul. We're going to activate Jack Jaguar, putting back the Falco. that will revive itself for lethal. We're going to try to make Heat Leo to spin that last back row. We don't need to because our opponent concedes. Last of the ladder replays here up against the Gore playing Goki now that Playmaker is unable to really flex the full power of the Goki deck due to the lack of Suprexes. Gore seems to be the way to go to play this deck. They're, of course, going to activate their skill. Main event Goki. We draw Salamangreat Gazelle. We're going to add Foxy to our hand. Foxy's going to be normal summoned. Excavating Foul. Insane. That's, like, literally the best that could happen. And now we have complete and total ability to dominate this match despite having opened our Sanctuary, unfortunately. We're going to make Gazelle summon, or we're going to make Bailing summon Gazelle out of our hand. Send the Foxy, and by Foxy, I mean Jaguar, from the deck to the graveyard, make a Sunlight Wolf. You already know we're going to activate that Sanctuary, reincarnate Sunlight Wolf. Remember, folks, always reincarnate Sunlight Wolf before you use Jaguar. So now we're going to make Sunlight Wolf here. That's going to activate Foul, summoning itself. We're going to activate Jaguar, shuffling back that Sunlight Wolf. Sunlight Wolf is going to put Gazelle back in our hand. We are going to make Abyss Dweller, activate the effect of Sunlight Wolf to add Circle back to our hand to hide the positioning of our warning point. If we just set one card, they would know it's that's the only option to hit. And it ends up coming in handy because of what our opponent draws here. We're going to do the standard play, detach Foul, summon Gazelle to Sunlight Wolf's point to add a normal summon for next turn, sending Falco. They're going to Night Beam and hit the circle we set. Very good. They're going to Suprex. We're going to warning point. Just don't want them to even make one Link monster to hit over our Dweller. They're going to set 2 cards and pass. So now I got to start worrying about playing around that. We activate Sunlight Wolf at our earliest possible convenience to potentially get any sort of effect negation out. We're going to normal summon Foxy, reveal the top 3 cards of our deck, trying to bait out a warning point. They don't go for it. We do not excavate anything good. We're going to link summon these 2 cards off for Security Dragon to get that Suprex back in the hand here. They're going to activate Book of Moon, targeting our Dweller. We're going to chain Dweller, and they give up. Fourth game here, going to be up against Swamp on Crystron's, another deck that got pieces of its engine back from the Massive Slaughter list that took place at the beginning of the Zexal era. I guess we're listening to voice lines now. Where is the menu? There we go. Character lines off. Hell yeah. All right. Here we go. They're going to activate Undyne. Undyne will send Thicefern. Thicefern will add, or Undyne will add Controller. I should have banished it, but I was really holding on for the Sulfefnir, but they can summon it from their hand. I thought what they were going to do is send it to the get it into the graveyard and then use it so I could banish it. But they played around it. They figured out I had Crow, so I'm basically just holding Crow for as long as I can. Parasyortle is going to pop a card to summon Rion. They're going to set 2 cards and pass. We're going to Mining, discarding Amir for a Foxy. We're just going to get as greedy as possible here and see if we're rewarded here. There's Crow, there's Circle, and there is Jaguar. We definitely were rewarded. We're going to add that Circle to our hand, activate that Circle to grab a Gazelle to our hand. Going to send our Foxy away for a Balinx to not search the field spell because we opened it. Must be nice. Just kidding. We're going to send a Jaguar there. This is a really rough hand. We can't make a rank 4 here. We're going to activate the field spell, reincarnate the Sunlight Wolf. That's going to let our Gazelle shuffle back the first one. We're going to add back Gazelle off of this Sunlight Wolf. We're going to sort of force everything out. We're going to set Circle and our warning point. They're going to Rion into the level 6 in Zektron. That will activate, preventing us from destroying anything. They're going to impact into Smygear. They're going to link for a Phoenix to hit our set card. That's going to prompt the Circle from us. We're going to grab the Foul for follow-up. I think I'm dead here, but maybe this warning point will be able to see us through to the end here. I was going to warning point the Phoenix, but I figured that I did not need it because they are, of course, on Labyrinth Builder, and we know they have Controller. 3 + 3 + 5 is 11, which is more than enough for the Crystal Zero Dragon of the Ice Barrier. They have Lance set for our warning point, but luckily we are not dead. They're going to search Crystron Impact, and we have exactly 1 turn to do this. Let's see what we can make happen here. We're going to take all but 200 points of damage from our life points. We're going to normal summon a Foul because we drew 1 for turn. This will let us get 2 Salamangreats onto our field with 1 Link summon. Going to Gazelle for Falco. Falco to return Gazelle. Foul will special summon itself. We are going to link off for Security Dragon. Security Dragon going to co-link to the Phoenix for BM. We're going to put that Phoenix back in the deck because we don't want them to synchro summon a level 11 again, but we really don't care if they can link summon a Phoenix again. They're going to Crystron Impact. Of course, we get to force that out. We are going to send our field spell and their Trishula. We're going to attack and banish what we destroy. They're top decking for turn here. They're going to set a card and pass. We're going to draw Circle, a fantastic card. We're going to activate Ningirsu. And for those of you that don't remember, because this sends for resolution, we can chain Salamangreat Circle and send the resolved Circle. So as the chain resolves, we'll add Foul to our hand, send Circle and their Lance, normal summon Gazelle, special summon Foul, and that is lethal damage on the field. And our opponent, realizing they have lost the match, concedes. But wow, what a game. Last matchup of the game here against Tier 2 meta contender Infernoid. Perhaps not the most relevant in terms of meta impact because we're not playing against Mech Knight, Rose Dragon, or PK, but this sort of showcases how the deck holds up to a old format deck that is much less hurt than it. Feast to 2, or rather Imagination or Vanishment, whatever the continuous spell is called to 2, is not much of a hit. So we're going to see how these two stack up against each other. And just a fair warning, this is a very spaghetti game. We're going to force out their Decatron with Foxy because we can just hit over it. So they're going to banish the Foxy. This is going to free us up to activate Cyanite Mining, sending Jack Jaguar for the Gazelle. That was a huge misplay, by the way. We should have normal summoned the Jack Jaguar, made Baylink, special summoned Gazelle that way, and then we would have had our ability to make Sunlight Wolf, shuffle back, reincarnate Sunlight Wolf, shuffle back the Sunlight Wolf for so we had our whole combo here, and we just totally threw it because I got greedy and forgot how my cards worked. So we normal summon Gazelle, put it back to our hand, link summon a copy of Baylynx. This will add a Sanctuary to our hand. We're going to shuffle back the Foul so we can reanimate the Jack Jaguar and hit in for 23 points of damage. Just a horrid game, this one right here. Really, really bad on both players' parts here. They summon Deviati after hard drawing out. We have Warning Point. They have Seer, but because they have a rank or level 11 monster on the field, they can't activate their set card to send the Seer, which is Void Feast. If they could send that Feast, we would be in a real lot of hot water. But luckily, despite drawing Heavy Storm on legs, that was not the ideal draw for them. We're of course going to bait out their negate so we can start recycling things with Jack Jaguar. We've basically got them on the back foot, so I'm not super worried about anything. We're going to Jack Jaguar, shuffle back that Baylynx, bring it back to get in for another 2,300 points of damage. What just a really slow roll of a game here. They draw another Infernoid, not enough to kill our Jack Jaguar, so we get to Cyanite Mining, discarding the card we drew for turn, to add Foul, attack for lethal with the Foul. What a horrid game, just not great at all. So we're back with the deck, and frankly speaking, it feels fine, just like I said it wouldn't be in that video. Honestly, if it wasn't for exactly Treason Phantom, I would say this is probably the best deck in the format, barring maybe any Mech Knight shenanigans that have yet to be perfected. The deck feels fine. It still has the problem of relying on the rank 4 suite as well as generic hard-drawn tech cards in order for its interaction, and that's where the biggest problem with the deck comes in. Because I played this on ladder, there were matchups in which I made Dweller, that Dweller was dead against, and I really wanted Roach, and vice versa. Making Roach against a player you think is going to be on Goki only for them to summon Purple Nightfall is a horrible feeling, and it's something that you're going to run into a lot with this deck, which is why I think if you're playing on ladder, you might seriously consider playing Giant Hand over one of these two cards. The nice thing, though, is that both Dweller and Roach are in the same pack, so honestly, this is a super budget deck. And well, yeah, you need 3 Cyanite Mining and 3 Warning Point. I'm just going to say it, if you're a free-to-play player, you should probably pull for cards like Warning Point and Mining before other cards, right? Like Mining is going to be good in a ton of Cyber stacks going forward, and Warning Point is the best unlimited piece of back row in the game, I think, next to Book of Moon, which is, to be fair, is a card you can use Dream Tickets on and fill out your 20 cards if you don't want to play DD Crow. I think this is a great deck to play on ladder. I think it's actually quite skill testing. And it's just sort of nice to play a deck that has actual combo lines rather than activating a skill to do half the work for your cards to play themselves. I think this deck is super cool, and I highly suggest people give it a shot if it looked interesting to you. So that's that. I apologize if this episode seemed a little bit rushed. I'm sort of speeding through a couple of videos here before I get out of town for a field biology course I'm going to be taking over the last week of March. I hope you did enjoy this video regardless, and if you enjoyed this video and would like to see the decks I play on this show live on stream, I am live very often playing Duel Links on the twitch.tv/skepticalsnivy Twitch channel. I'm currently doing a ladder climb with trains of all things, and it's been going pretty interestingly. I've been malding a lot while playing it, despite the fact that it wins in like 2 turns. So if that sounds funny to you, you can check that out, and I'd appreciate it. I'll see you all around in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.